Tales from the wild. Stories from the heart. A journey into the mind and soul of fired-up business professionals where they share their vision for the future. And hear from a different non-profit organization every month as they create awareness of their goals and their needs. Dive into a world of untamed passion as we join our host, Shireen Buerta, for this month's episode of Friends from Wild Places.
All right, welcome. You are listening to Shireen here, your virtual boutique bookkeeper and QuickBooks advisor. Are you running your business with just a CPA? Well, think again, guys. In today's fast-paced world, managing your finances goes beyond just tax time. Meet Shireen's Bookkeeping Services. That's me, your partner in seamless financial management. We provide expert bookkeeping that keeps your cash flow healthy and your peace of mind intact. With our tailored services, you'll save time, reduce stress, and gain insights that empower you to make informed decisions. Now, that's important. Why settle for just compliance when you can thrive? And here's a glimpse into the future. I know AI-powered tools are revolutionizing bookkeeping. Imagine automated reports and predictive analytics giving you a new edge in business. So if you know business owners who rely solely on their CPA, introduce us. Or more importantly, if that's you, get a hold of me. Let's take your financial management to the next level, because when your books are smart, your business can soar. Go check me out at www.shireensbookkeeping and allow me to keep your books clean so you don't have to. Shireen's Bookkeeping Services, your bookkeeper for the future. Welcome back. You are listening to Friends from Wild Places with myself, Shireen, your host, and my amazing co-host, Tanya Skotesi. Welcome. Hello, Tanya. How are you doing?
Oh, doing great over here in the midst of the heat in Miami. So always, and I think it's opposite for you, Shireen, right? It's you're all snuggled up in your jacket. It's winter months in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference. So yeah, super excited for our podcast this morning and super excited for our guest. So I'll turn it back to you, Shireen.
Well, thank you very much, Tanya. Yes, I am in the winter times at this moment in South Africa for now. And yes, Tanya is zooming in from the very warm Miami, which is pretty exciting. I love Miami. Yeah, we have an amazing guest this month that we're super excited to introduce, but we cannot go any further without chatting about our extra content. Tanya, do you want to mention to the listeners about the subscription?
Sure. So we have what we call our bonus content, where it's unedited, raw material. We dive deeper into subjects that maybe you want to know a little bit more about that are not so family friendly. So for just as little as $5 a month, you can subscribe to our additional content and get all the scoop. You can also request topics. So if there's something that you just want to know more about, maybe you can't find it out in the internet world or anything like that, feel free to, drop us a line and we'd be happy to collaborate more on the topic that of your choice. So that's what our subscription is, and share about our podcast, Friends from Wild Places, with your friends, colleagues, businesses, even team building experiences. So back to you, Shireen.
Love it. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, so back to our introduction of Angeline Gillings. We're so excited to have her this month. Angeline is a business archangel who empowers both experienced professionals and student leaders to achieve meaningful success. She assists frustrated leaders and teams in delivering strong results while remaining aligned with their sense of fulfillment. Through coaching, speaking, and training, she provides individuals with the mindset and tools to lead with clarity, collaborate across various environments, and thrive under pressure. Her practical, people-centered approach emphasizes resilience, smart decision-making, and authentic leadership. Over a corporate career spanning more than 30 years, she has held a variety of leadership and specialist roles, including board director, managing director, and senior positions in marketing, product innovation, and quality control. Sure, gaining deep insight from multinationals and companies with a global footprint. So that's pretty exciting. We're so happy and excited to have you on the show with us. Angeline, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yes, of course. We always like to start our series with a little bit of quote of the day. Well, today we're doing a quote of the day, which has been inspired by Angeline herself. So, Angeline, I'm going to say the quote, but if you don't mind sharing with the listeners what it means to you, and how it inspired you. So, the quote is, "A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because its trust is not on the branch, but in its wings." So always believe in yourself. I find that
Yes.
such a beautiful quote, Angeline. So please tell us a little bit of what it means to you, and what inspired you.
Okay, so a little story behind that. After leaving corporate, I was um deciding what I wanted to do next. I knew that I wanted to spend more time pouring it into others because in corporate we were, always chasing the numbers and the deliverables, and I thought there was a gap for me in terms of how much I was able to support and give back to the community. So I was in two minds. Do I want to go back in a structured working environment, 9 to 5, or do I want to start my own business? Typically, starting my own business was never on the consideration at all. So I was sitting outside in my garden, and I looked up and I saw this bird on the very, very tip of what I saw was the smallest, thinnest limb on the tree. And it was swaying because the bird, while it was small relative to the limb, it was a big bird. And I sat and I looked at the bird and I said, why would this bird go on the thinnest limb on the tree when there are so many other branches, etc.? I was at the very top and looking out, and I actually took a photo because I was so intrigued by it. Um, was it? I just looked. I was intrigued. Why was the bird on this limb and swaying, almost feeling as I'm thinking that it's gonna topple off the limb. About half an hour, within 1 hour after, someone who I was speaking with in terms of my path going forward sent me this quote. And I said, what? This is so strange. I just experienced seeing this bird on the limb, and I was really intrigued as to what this bird was doing on this thinnest limb. And then I got this quote, and immediately I thought that was a message for me. It was about trusting my wings and not the branches on which I was sitting. And not, another perspective was that the bird was on the highest limb and looking out, and I think the bird had a kind of viewpoint that was just expansive. And that also spoke to me in terms of just expand your horizon. Look beyond the narrow boundaries that you're familiar with and look beyond. Look at these wider horizons. And it inspired me, and I made my decision. I was going to start my business.
Wow. I love that. That's so
Amazing,
inspiring.
amazing.
Mm. Well, listeners, if you don't know who said that quote, it was Charlie Wardle, is
Mhm.
the person that said that quote. And I think it was very inspiring quote, um, for everyone, actually. I actually was very touched when I read that quote, and I thought that is so true. And I think we all need to learn to believe in our own wings and not
Yes.
in the branch that we're balancing on. And I love that. So yes, thank you very much, Angeline, for that. Listeners, you all know that this is the time of the podcast where myself and Tanya, we are a little bit of, not a little bit, we do enjoy true crime quite a bit. We love watching all the YouTube channels and following the latest crimes that are going on, and seeing the outcomes. So a few podcasts ago, I can't remember when, we spoke about the Karen Reed case. She was actually found not guilty. I know we were between, we were really in two minds of what was going to happen to her, but yeah, she was actually found not guilty. So crazy about that. But today we're not going to talk about that. I The second thing that I really enjoy doing in my spare time and watching when it comes to like YouTube channels is definitely the paranormal side of things. And quite frankly, before Ghost Adventures became this massive commercialized thing, I actually used to watch them when they still had their own little channel. So, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Ghost Adventures are these few guys that go in and investigate houses that are told to have some sort of spirit, good or evil, whatever, and then they go with all their tools to go and, you know, scope out the house to see if they can get any kind of response back from these spirits in the house. And anyway, the Ghost Adventures, which is starring Aaron Goodwin, was one of the members of the team. They've become quite commercialized now. And they have this show called Ghost Adventures, which I'm actually not too sure what channel you can find it on, but it's definitely on one of the main channels on DSTV or one of the other channeling programs. But Aaron Goodwin, obviously, this case centers around him and the attempt on his life. But the attempt on his life was actually by his own wife. And his own wife reached out to a very one of the criminal guys that were behind jail, and got paid him to go and end the life of her husband, which is Aaron Goodwin. I'm trying not to say all the trigger words, but it is what it is. So basically, listeners, yeah, so Victoria Goodwin is Aaron Goodwin's wife. She was arrested in March on charges of solicitation to commit murder and conspiracy to commit murder after the authorities said she communicated with a Florida inmate last year and offered to pay him more than $11,500 in a plot to have her husband murdered. In April, prosecutors agreed to drop the solicitation charge in exchange for her pleading guilty to a charge of conspiracy to commit murder. Authorities unraveled the murder for hire plot when the inmate's cell phone was seized as contraband. The inmate was identified as Grant Amato, who is serving a life sentence for the murders of his parents and brother. Amato killed his family after an argument over his obsession with a webcam model, which had caused turmoil in the family for months. So basically, she was found guilty. And my biggest question here is, I was listening to her written apology in front of everybody, and I wondered to myself, do you, and I'm asking you ladies now, do you think her apology was genuine, or do you think she's just sorry for being caught? Because I don't know. I just don't know. But I'll give you my two-cent piece now. Angeline, do you want to tell us your thoughts?
Yeah, well, put it this way. When I saw her reading her apology, it was touching, it was moving. She was very emotional, and you can, well, could be easily caught up with just feeling sorry for her. But as I was listening to her, my own thoughts, Brown, was just, this is just wickedness. That was it. And I believe that her emotions, reading the apology, etc., was more about just being scared and afraid of um possibilities of what was to come. And I don't believe it was genuine. I believe her attempt was really what she wanted. It just happened to not have worked, and then it had become embarrassing. So I while she may feel sorry, it's why. Why is she feeling sorry? It's probably more because of the consequences of
Mm,
having been caught.
mm,
So I don't think it was genuine, from the sense that she was sorry that she attempted. I think it's more because she got caught, it didn't work out, and she was embarrassed and all
mm.
the other things. So I don't believe it was genuine.
Right, right. I mean, goodness sakes, if you're so unhappy in the marriage, get a divorce.
Exactly.
Tanya, what about you?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with the conversation this morning as far as just just disingenuous. And I think, this is my opinion, having studied in criminal forensics, criminal justice, and the mortuary world. So I'm around dead bodies quite a bit. I've been around dead bodies since I started mortuary in 2003. And I will share with you that, there's a very interesting thing is if it's in the moment, like let's say, for example, in a fleeting moment somebody pulls out something, a gun, a knife or something, and commits murder, you almost can understand that moment as far as that, just that anger, if somebody is truly like, cannot regulate their own emotions, which is problematic, as opposed to a premeditated step by step, the research, the conversations, when you see people on the internet googling ways to kill people and how are they going to
Mhm.
die and how long does it take, and all these extra types of add-ons, so to speak. So when you're having conversations and planning, you can actually stop at any time, right? You can actually stop. So when
Mhm.
you go through with it, in my opinion, they're upset because they got caught. And
Mhm.
that's how I that was my takeaway from this specific reading the letter. Another thing that I always find interesting is, sometimes I almost wonder if they even write their own letter, because sometimes it's almost like it doesn't even sound like their own voice. So I don't know. That's another whole conversation, but that's
I
my 2 cents.
know. Right, I know. You took the words right out of my mouth. Tanya, I just feel like she tried everything. She tried to say that, anything that she thought that people wanted to hear until she ran out of excuses. And she ran
Mhm.
out of ideas of what she was going to do. And eventually she was like, okay, well, now I'm going to spend time in jail. And when she was reading from the letter, there was, other than the crocodile tears, which I'm sorry, it was very like, there wasn't, I didn't feel anything. Like, I just sat there listening to her, and I really didn't feel any sort of an emotion towards her. Um, so yeah, I think, as I said, I think she's going to the right place, and there is enough time while she's behind bars to change. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you can't change. You can, and you can
Mhm.
change your life, turn your life around, and make better decisions moving forward. There's always space to become a better person. So I wish her all the best, and I hope that she really does turn her life around and become a better person. And then on saying that, I would love to just pop in with a little bit of a Buzzsprout ad here. Podcasting, as you all listeners know, isn't hard when you have the right partners. So, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping us succeed and you succeed. So, join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message and your message out to the world. So when I started this podcast, I didn't know where to begin. and it was quite overwhelming, but using Buzzsprout makes it super easy and straightforward. I just have to upload my podcast in one place and it gets spread out across all the platforms. So it's fantastic. I love Buzzsprout. To start your own your own podcast, just go to the link in the show notes. This helps support our show. And it also lets Buzzsprout know that you're supporting them as well. So Buzzsprout, let's create something new together. Wonderful. Angeline, first of all, I really would love to know a little bit about who you are, and let the listeners know a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I am passionate, I'm empathetic, and love people. My family, my children, my granddaughter now, I have a young granddaughter, and my extended family is my heart, they're my everything. My family. I love working with people, and part of the choice that I made in terms of the work that I do had to do with the fact that I wanted not just to work with leaders, but with teams. So I want teams to be engaged, to be collaborative, to be supportive of each other. I like peace. I like success. And so I would like to support businesses, and my aim is to support businesses, emerging leaders to be their best self. One of the things that I said to myself as I was starting business, just based on my own over 30 years of being in corporate life, and I mentioned earlier about chasing the numbers and just always going, going, going. One of the things that really guides me now as I'm supporting uh, my clients is that it's about thriving and being successful in business, but your personal fulfillment must be a part of that. And it's something that I'm not letting go. Yes, we're going for the success in the business. But the success in business is not all. It's about your personal fulfillment. So you have to define that for yourself. You have to define those boundaries and what drives you to be happy. And that's so important for me. So that's it in a nutshell. Anything more about my work life, then we can talk a little about it. But that's it in a quick nutshell.
Angeline, I can't put my finger on it. Your accent, where are you originally from?
I'm from Jamaica.
Aha.
Yes, I'm from Jamaica, living in Miami, Florida.
I love that.
So I'm very proud of my Jamaican roots.
I love it. I love it. Just shows you how we have visitors that are entrepreneurs and business owners from all over the world that have moved from one place to another, that just have genuinely unique journeys and inspiring stories to tell. And Angeline is one of those people. So
tune in next week for part 2 from Friends from Wild Places.
You've been listening to Friends from Wild Places with Shireen Bueta. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast from the links to catch every episode and unleash your passion.